So, my kid just graduated high school. My kid's grandfather came up from another state. The other state is about 11 or 12 hours away to go to the graduation. In doing that, my kid's grandfather gave my kid some money and said, "Here, this is from me and your Aunt K." We'll call her Aunt K. And your Aunt K. So my kid, takes the money and says, "Thank you." So about a month and a half later, I'm speaking to my kid's grandfather, and my kid's grandfather goes, "Hey, your kid needs to call Aunt K and thank Aunt K for the money. We're from the South, and that's the expectation in the South." And I said, "Oh, I thought my kid had passed the thanks along through you." And the kid grandfather goes, "Oh no, when people don't say thank you to something, then people don't like to do things for them anymore." So I'm like, thinking to myself, okay, whatever. And in my mind, I'm thinking, my kid doesn't even know Aunt K. My kid can probably count on their finger, one hand, the amount of times that they've actually seen Aunt K. And then when they have seen Aunt K, it's not like they've had any in-depth conversations. Not to mention that I don't even know Aunt K that well. I don't even know my father, the grandfather, that well, because always lived in totally different states. Um, we were lucky. I mean, I was lucky as a kid if I saw my father um, once a year, and when he would come up for once a year, it would be like for 2 or 3 days. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, these people are that's weird. It's just weird to me. So I had asked my kid, I said, did you, because I had the phone on speaker, I said, "Did you hear what your granddad said?" And my kid goes, "Yeah, I heard it, but how am I going to send a thank you to somebody?" And he didn't even give me the person's phone number. Not to mention that when the grandfather first got up here and was sitting on my sofa, Aunt Kay called him. And at that point, I figured, oh, well, maybe he could have given the phone to my kid and said, "Hey, Aunt Kay's on the phone." And then, of course, I'm sure that as the conversation progressed between my kid and Aunt Kay, that my kid would have, thanked Aunt Kay for the gift or whatnot. But again, I don't know. I just thought that was weird because the family that we were raised with, they don't operate like that. I mean, there have been times where um, people have sent stuff by somebody else to me, and I've said, "Oh, tell that person thank you," and that was it. There was no, going behind the person's back, talking about them, complaining because they didn't call and say thank you and stuff like that. To me, that's just messy. It's weird and it's rude. And now I have a bad taste in my mouth for Aunt Kay, because I just, like I said, I think they think the whole situation was weird, and now in my mind I'm like, oh, so you were talking about me and my kid um, behind our back, and there's no telling what you said about my kid. You could have been over there talking about, oh, your grandchild is just so ungrateful, didn't even call and thank me for the gift, and blah 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 blah. And it's like, lady, we don't even know you like that. Of course we appreciate your gift and things like that, but you have to take it for what it is. We don't know you. My kid didn't have your contact information, and like I said, and to be honest with you, if it were me, um, and I sent money up you for a gift, I probably would call and talk to the person and say, "Hey, congratulations, I sent you a gift," and that would probably lead to a thank you. And to be honest, I was a little disappointed that Aunt Kay and nobody else from my father's side of the family came up for the graduation, because the invitation was open, but you decided not to come. But yet you can go to other states for week-long vacations. You can go to other states for family reunions, but you can't come to celebrate my child's graduation. I didn't express this to my kid's grandfather, but I don't know. In thinking back on the conversation, since the door was open and we were talking about how people felt, and how we do it, I could have said, well, in the North, when you extend an invitation, um, you extend invitations to people. You expect them to come, or at least say, hey, I'm sorry I couldn't make the graduation. And not to mention, Aunt Kay is retired. Aunt Kay has no children. Aunt Kay has no grandchildren. So there is no reason for Aunt Kay to not have been able to come to the graduation. So y'all can let me know what y'all think in the comments. I'm not here to get offended. I'm just putting it out there, that I think that the whole situation was just weird. I don't necessarily say, oh, well, it's proper etiquette to do XYZ. Well, she doesn't have your number. And again, like I said, to me too, if you're going to send a gift, it may be proper etiquette to give the person a call and congratulate them personally, instead of just sending it through, or you know what, send them the gift and the card in the mail if you want to be technical, and then maybe the person would have sent you a thank you card back. I don't know. Y'all, like I said, y'all can let me know what y'all thoughts are. As you can see, I'm very passionate about this situation and this conversation.